All right, everybody, I'm Louis Amostoy back here on the Bako Motorsports Power Hour, brought to you by Budweiser, Bakersfield, California. And also a special shout out to a sign factory as well. They are one of our other sponsors as well, and they had played kind of a key role at Kern County Raceway Park. We've got Brandon Weaver here with us and his dad, and Stephen Blakesley is here too to talk a little bit about what happened this last weekend, and we got some highlights to get to here in a moment. But I wanted to just give you an advance of what's happening coming up here this weekend, Father's Day weekend. Race to Stop Hunger, NASCAR, Citgo, Lubricants, Late Models, Twin 35s, SRL S2 Tour, Spec Mods, Legends, and Bandoleros. This is also, and then coming up, you're off the 21st, and then the 28th you're back on. Jim Burke Ford night, NASCAR, Citgo, Lubricants, Late Models, Twin 35, Spec Mods, Mini Stocks, Mini Dwarfs. It's a busy couple weeks for you guys.
Yeah, and this week if you bring 2 non-perishable food items for Cap K Food Bank, you'll get in for $10.
All right, and also follow these guys on Facebook, and they've also got some. We'll get some other things for them too. You get the YouTube channel and everything else,
Twitter
and everything else. Well, let's look at some of these highlights from this last weekend. You got them, Chris? Here they come.
All right, so last weekend we had 6 divisions of racing, starting out with our junior mini dwarfs, and this was a wild race. And this is a pretty small track, obviously, 8th mile racetrack. And Kersey Young taking the lead there from Kay McClenny. Neither of those drivers have ever won at Kern County Raceway. They were staring down their first wins, and they were trying to hold off this young lady, Kylie Forrester, the 8-year-old driver.
Ooh.
As there you see Kay McClenny going for a little spin. The racing was really close between the top 4 cars. The other car in the battle was the 19 of Bailey Thompson. This is coming to the finish. Bailey Thompson, with a big head of steam on the outside, wins the race in a 3-wide photo finish. It was absolutely incredible to see a 3-wide photo finish like that. And we went from that straight into our mini stocks, and they like to get a little wild at the start. How about 3 wide for the lead here? Randy Smith on the bottom, his son Kenny in the middle, and they worked it out. But Terry Pettit and Kenny Smith getting tangled up there. Also Blondie Stacy in the mix. Blondie got quick time on the weekend. It was a great weekend for her in that yellow 22. There's the Professor, Pierre Pichet, coming back. That was an old high school series car at Mesa Marin. Now he's here at Kern County. But Randy Smith, the points leader, the Mad Dog, gets the win. Super Stocks. What a fun class. Look at that. Street stock cars and late model style cars. And Perrin Kustra, the milkman in the number 1, he gave Shane Thompson all he could handle, and a little bit of a fire on that Cutlass, a brand new car for Michael Nix, and they got him taken care of. And on the restart, Shane Thompson pulls away. Great battle for second. That's Racing Vernon in the 51, racing against the milkman. And looks like the milkman's going to get the best of him for second. Shane Thompson, 2 for 2 in the Greenway Pest Control number 12. Also won the Trophy Dash. So a great night for him. All right, senior mini dwarfs. You know that whole adage about you only need to lead the last lap of the race? Well, we saw that in the juniors,
right,
and we're going to see that in the seniors. Great racing up front, as always, between the same. There's like both those classes have 4 cars that are really fast. In this case, it's Jeremy Clark leading the way in the 8 car. He comes out of turn 2, and the steering fails on the car, and he has to go straight off to the pits. And Jerry Flippo rounds the corner and takes the victory. I mean, talk about a surprise for Clark, who had led 24 laps.
Wow.
All right, 911 Racing Series. 4 wide doesn't work in turn 2 at our racetrack, and you'll see that. I mean, that was every single race for the 911.
Kern County's finest right there.
There you go. Every single race for the 911 series, we've had trouble in turn 2, and that's the difficult corner on this quarter-mile track. And a little bit more bang. That was Kern County Sheriff getting into Bakersfield PD.
Oh, wow.
I wonder about that, right? That's a little bit of a rivalry. And then there's Kern County Fire passing Bakersfield PD for second. But no one was going to run down Shafter. And Josh Stevens getting the win, the detective, for his second win this year in that series. All right, nightcap was the Pro 8 miles. We had a couple new cars, really exciting race. And it was kind of a game to see who could get to the front first, Dallas Montez or David Mayhew after a 6-car invert. And there's Mayhew getting around Montez, and that really was kind of the pass. And there's Mayhew getting second from Spangler, but Mayhew getting ahead of Montez really broke the race wide open as it took Montez just a little bit longer to get through the field. as David Mayhew takes the lead from his teammate Johnny White. And then a few laps later, Montez goes to second, but by then, Mayhew had about a 3-second lead. They were running within about a tenth of a second per lap, but there was no way for Mayhew to reel in, for Montez to reel in David Mayhew. And David Mayhew now has 19 wins at Kern County Raceway.
Very impressive. And again, you mentioned that there it is, David Mayhew with the win there on the board, beating Dallas Montez in the Pro Late Model, 35 laps. Moving on to the Super Stock against Shane Thompson, beating the Milkman. I like that. Perrin Kutstra. Grayson Vernon finishing third there.
Yep, Mr. Hollywood.
Yeah, and then we've got the Mini Stock, Randy Smith over Stacey Evans in this race. And I think it'll work. Oh, I just missed it. Senior Mini Dwarf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Jerry Flippo, and then also Anthony Balcazar, and then Cheyenne Flippo. So that's a
brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Yep.
Boy, I'd like to be in that household. That's going to be fun. Bailey Thompson, is that her first win of the season?
Her second consecutive win, and no relation to the other Bailey Thompson at our track.
That's right. That's
and
right.
This Bailey lives out of Taft.
Okay. Well, good for Taft, and short drive for them. Josh Stevens, again, as you noted, the second win on the season for Shafter PD, who I think now is firmly in the lead in the point standings.
Yeah,
right?
Probation's trying to keep up. They got one win as well.
Okay. All right. Let's move on now. Let's talk to Brandon Weaver. Here he is. Brandon, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Tell us, who's the guy in the end with us? Is that
that's my dad.
Okay. All right. Dad's here. So, Brandon, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in racing.
When I was...
Wait, before you do that, first, tell me how old you are again.
I'm 13 years old.
13 years old. Okay.
100 pounds soaking wet.
100 pounds soaking wet. Right. You're going to be a freshman coming in at Liberty High School. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So how did you get involved in racing?
When I was 6 years old, my dad asked me if I wanted to race go-karts, and at first I didn't want to, and then later on I went out and saw my cousins race go-karts, my older cousins, and I really liked it, so I was like, Dad, can I get a go-kart, please? And so then I just started racing go-karts.
And Dad, you kind of encouraged him, but you didn't really pressure him, though. I mean, you said, hey, you want to do this? And he said no, but he seemed to figure it out on his own, right?
Oh, yeah, it was interesting. The first time he drove a go-kart, he really couldn't reach the pedals or anything because he was too short, and his nickname has been Shorty up until about the last year where he actually grew. He's grown a little bit, and we've had to change some seats out. But he couldn't reach the pedals, and he didn't want to drive it. So
Right.
a year went by, and then he finally just said, hey, I want to drive a go-kart.
Right.
So we got him one.
So, as being the dad here, are you exhilarated, nervous, or worried as the dad when he's out there on the track by himself?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about those emotions.
It's every one of those emotions
Yeah.
every time, and it's so interesting because he's, like he said, he's been driving since he was 6 years old.
Right.
So he has a lot of track time. He's got hundreds and hundreds of laps at a lot of different tracks. And in practice, it's fine, but when the race comes, you get nervous. You get all the emotions come. It's pretty interesting.
Right.
And Brandon, you started at 6 running the go-karts. What was the point where it kind of switched from being just something for fun to where you started to think, man, I might be able to make it in this sport?
I mean, when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and that was when I moved up into the Junior 1 class, or the Comer. And the karts got a little bit faster, and we started running regional races, International Kart Federation, and it got really competitive, and it got so expensive because we were up against guys with 3 or 4 motors and 3 or 4 karts, and it just got crazy, and then so that's when we went to oval track racing.
And now that you're in oval track racing, the next step you guys took was into the Legends cars. Tell us about those cars. They're really cool. They're kind of unique. They have that old style look with the hard tires. Tell us about those cars.
When we first got into them, we didn't know anything about them. So we found out as we went, and we met Jeremy Wood, who's up in Stockton. He's my crew chief now, and he taught us a lot about the Legend car because, I mean, we didn't know anything at all, and just as we went, we just got better and better, and it grew on me because at first I was scared of the car, and it was going from a Bandolero which is an automatic, and it's a smaller car, to a Legend, which is a bigger car, and it has 5 speeds, and I had to learn how to shift and use the clutch and all that, so it was quite different.
Now tell me a little bit about, have you learned how to work on the cars, or what is your technical knowledge now?
Yeah, I've learned a lot as I went. Like I said, with Tony Green too, Tony Green Motorsports. I've learned more about the shocks and springs than anything else, and I've learned how to work on the brakes. Just scrub them off, get all the excess brake dust off them, and so clean them up so they're ready for the race. So you have more braking power, so you can get back onto the gas faster after you get off the brakes, and just mainly shocks and springs and working on the brakes, and a lot about how to adjust my driving as the race goes on.
Right. And do you have a motorsports idol? Who do you follow? What races do you follow?
I mean, I really like Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, the Hendrick drivers, but my idol is the King, Richard Petty, because he's the king.
He's the king, right?
There you go, aiming high.
Yeah.
And so now you guys are in the SRL S2 Tour, and I'm sure it's making Dad nervous. You're running on that big half mile now.
Yeah, I mean, it's making him nervous, but I like it. Yeah, it's a lot different from the Legend car. In Legend car, the wheel's so much more twitchy and everything's more sensitive. And in the bigger car, everything's more slowed down and you have to drive it easier. And it's honestly it's the most fun I've ever had in a race car.
And Saturday you're driving both. So
yeah.
how do you handle that going back and forth all day?
Just I have to focus like really really hard, and just the mindsets and how to drive each of those cars. I have to focus really hard, and like I have to. Even though I'm really fatigued and tired, I have to concentrate as hard as I can just on how to drive each car.
Real quick, Dad, you got to get this guy all over the place now, right? I mean, you guys are traveling a little bit with this, or tell us a little bit about the commitment on the family side for this.
It's quite a commitment. We're running the SRL series in the Legend car, and that's what we had committed to the start of the year. So the SRL series runs all the different tracks, and since we're already at the SRL tracks, the S2 cars are running there also, and we got a call from High Point Racing, and the 15 car was open, and they wanted to put Brandon in it. So it's double duty now.
Right.
And so traveling to the tracks and going to Vegas and Madera and Stockton and running here at Kern we love running here because you get to sleep in your own bed,
right, yeah.
and not have to get a hotel room or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's quite a commitment.
So we're going to hear big things from you. Right.
Hopefully
have you come on again. Talk a little bit about things. Starting school in a few weeks as a freshman. Are you nervous about that? What makes you more nervous, being a freshman or driving a car?
Neither.
Confident young man, Brandon Weaver. Well, check him out at Kern County Raceway Park. And Stephen Blakeslee, thanks for joining us again here. And thanks to the Weavers for being here with us on the Bako Motorsports Power Hour. And we'll be back after these messages with Bakersfield Speedway.